my takeout from today is you really need to listen to the users and do your research and do regular research and get testing done, because it's been quite obvious and apparent to me today that if that doesn't happen and you think you know your audience and you think you know the product that they need, your users need, there probably maybe massive big errors and mistakes happen, and you're not going to benefit and either raise more money in our case so that we can continue to support families, or bring more money to your business and have a successful business. So definitely.
Very warm welcome to the Understanding Users podcast, brought to you by Researchable UX. It's great to have you with me. I'm your host, Mike Green. I'm a freelance user research lead and digital consultant based in the UK. Over the coming weeks, I'm going to be chatting to various digital experts who I've had the pleasure of working with in recent years. They're from various disciplines, including user research, UX design, development, and product management. And they'll even be a digital business owner or two. I'll be talking to them about how they came to be in their current roles, what they've learned along the way, and what advice they may have for others getting into the field. These are intended to be relaxed, informal chats with professionals who are keen to share their experiences. So sit back and enjoy. This is the second of a 3-part mini-series of episodes about the recent Lion+Mason event at the Leeds Digital Festival 2022, which was called How User Experience Design Can Successfully Solve the Digital Challenges of Today. In this short episode, we hear from a number of attendees as they reflect on what they learned in the sessions and what relevant practical tips they plan to take away to use in their own roles and organisations. My thanks to Millie Martin and Whitney O'Cherry from Lion+Mason for doing the recordings for me. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Cool. So I'm going to start with, would you mind telling me your name, your job role, and where you're from, like your company?
So my name is Carla. I'm a senior UI designer and I work for Korea.
My name is Tamsin Ward. I'm a lead UX designer at Every, formerly Hermes.
I'm Nathan Moran. I'm the principal user researcher at Boots at the moment.
Yeah, my name is Mark Rowe. I'm from Digital Energy, and my role there is the digital designer.
Callum Robinson, Talent Acquisition Partner at X Design.
Hello, my name's Jez. I'm at Star.Star, which is part of CTI Group, and I'm the Creative and Strategy Director.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Eve Corrie and I work for the Give a Duck Foundation, which is a small children's cancer charity based in Yorkshire.
And have you been to any Leeds Digital Festival events before this?
I've not been to the Leeds Digital Festival before. I've been to the Halifax one, but this is the first time at Leeds.
Yes, I did a couple of years ago before COVID started.
No, this is the first time I've come to a Leeds Digital Festival.
This is my first one since COVID, so it's great to get back out and come to some physical events.
So what were you hoping to learn today?
Good question. I think just as sort of, hearing from industry experts in the field itself, rather than sort of articles online and stuff like that, actually hearing voices, going to a network event. I think obviously, online ones are useful, but actually sitting down with people and speaking to people, going around the room is more impactful.
This is very new to me. I've never been to a UX event before. I was recommended to come by my previous manager in a role that I went into, and I have huge thanks for her, because it's been really valuable today to come along to it, and actually it's been a really welcoming event, great to meet people, and actually past COVID it's been nice to actually sit in a room with people.
I think it's nice, working in the industry anyway, I have a good idea of what's already going on and what UX means, but it's always nice to hear different people's perspectives and to, keep up to date with things like that. So to come here and have those conversations, it's quite useful.
And is there any speaker that's particularly inspired you today so far?
So the last speaker, Kelly Moran, he was showing how he'd put his process together. And I think within our group at the minute, there's a lot of, we all know what we're doing, it's just that nobody has formally really put definite formal processes together, a bit like Lego bricks. I've been thinking about it for months. We should just Lego brick this out, and just try. It's okay for people that have been around for a while, but for the new kids, it's like, well, how do we do things? And I actually think there should be a lot more sort of Lego brick procedural planning. just so nobody's starting from scratch. It's just that, that huge effort. Well, how should I do this? And everybody coming up with a slightly different way of doing things, which just confuses not just new colleagues, but also design colleagues, engineering colleagues. Let's try and. I'm not one for trying to put everything on rails, but it would be kind of nice to have some foundational ways of doing things.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing I took from it.
Completely agree.
All the speakers were good. I quite like all of them were really good. I think the key takeaway for me are the product, looking at the product process and how we can reduce the amount of details that we have a tendency at the company to go into lots of details and leverage of things, and things will never move as we need it to move because of that. So that's one thing too. It was quite good, the speaker talking about the product and how we can narrow down the research groups and things like that. The empathy one was quite good. I quite liked it because I use empathy maps for designing, and it's one of the things that you're trying to be empathic with the user, but you still have that coldness because you're still doing it for it's separate to you. So that was quite good. And obviously how to be a good UX designer, I guess it says it all. It's just a whole package of things. So that was quite good and refreshing.
Guy from Leeds, regarding the whole kind of UX team and the building and stuff like that, was interesting because it's a massive variance on the scale of things for what he does and where he's from compared to what I do and where I'm from. But to pull out some of that from a much bigger team, much bigger environment was really useful. Looking at the tools to use for help with the research, that kind of stuff. So there was some really key things I was able to pull away that I can bring back to my agency and start researching whether or not it can help us at this stage. If not, it'll certainly help us as we grow and get bigger.
Great.
Yeah, I think all of them individually had really powerful presentations. I think I really liked the presentation around the smart fridge, although, I think that was by Paul. Although, the use case is something very specific, you can really apply that to everyday life, and we certainly see that everywhere. Innovation sometimes champions user needs, and we kind of go down this path and create something because it's new, or our competitors especially have this thing and it may not be right for our users. So that kind of rang true a lot for me. So I really enjoyed that one.
It was interesting to learn. I knew a little bit about UX design, but not a lot. So to come and actually see how important it is, and how Andy said what's the worst that could go wrong, it's it's actually quite catastrophic, from a nuclear explosion, but actually without sounding dramatic, that is actually what can go wrong. That's amazing to think that if UX design isn't followed, the errors and the things that can go wrong in design, it's such an awful thing that can happen with money and people's lives and losing customers. So from my point of view, working for a charity, I then applied that and thought, right, okay, so for us, thinking about how we would redesign our website, how we would get into understanding our users, so the families that we support and the supporters, how are we going to make the user experience on our website better for them? So it's been really valuable.
Main takeaway: accessibility in design is important, and also I think my main takeaway would be diversity in design is also important.
How, in your view, can user experience teams ensure they're having maximum impact or benefit on their users?
I think the most important thing to delivering high benefit to users really is to kind of break out of this products-driven mindset. So quite often larger companies, it's very, in terms of what we have to design, what we have to deliver, it's all based on business deliverables and what the business needs are at the time. And actually sometimes we need to take a step back and really process what the user needs are. So instead of solving a problem based on what the business tells us to do, we need to look at actually what problem exists in the user's eyes and how we can kind of influence that into the bigger picture of the project we're working on.
So I think first it's good to get a UX process in place. That often isn't the first thing that you do, but if you're trying to expand a team, you need to have a key process that you've all agreed with. So that doesn't really matter what level you are, but it really helps if you're trying to onboard more people in the team, and you can kind of train people up and say, this is the way we work, these are the tools that we use, this is how we communicate with users, and we take those insights. So for me, it's a lot about process and getting those key things in place early on, so that as you bring more people into the team or you're trying to increase UX maturity, you can do that really kind of easily, I suppose. It's not easy, but it's easy to have a foundation. Yeah.
Actually, design is more important than what you think it is. It's not just on a digital world or a written world. It's everywhere you look. I guess is, as many speakers mentioned, it's understanding the users, but mainly understanding what are the pain points, because there are lots of things that this will be really nice to have, but the reality is no one is actually going to use it. I know some of the speakers talk about the Samsung fridge, but for example, something more close to what we will work with is like, scanning products to buy them, for example. There is the reality of it is that not lots of users will use them. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's one of the things just to remove all the things that we dream of having and going back to reality and say, actually, this is what the users need. This is what is going to help them to get from point A to point B, instead of saying, could we have this as well? It's one of those things and as a UI designer, I do tend to dream a lot in terms of ideas of flashy things, and it's always good to go back to roots and say, actually, no, this is what we need to do for our customers. This is what they are actually struggling with. You can have the flashing thing later on. At this moment in time, you just want people to be able to do what they have to do.
Having that empathy and really understanding our users, or as Imran said, people, because at the end of the day they are people that are using it, that has really kind of connected with me, because we support families that have got children with cancer, and not only having empathy for them, but having empathy for our users, for the supporters that donate to the charity, having empathy for what's going on in their lives, and they are parting with money to support the charity. So yeah, I think Imran stuck out for me. We're a small charity, so obviously money for things like rebuilding a website we'd have to really look at. However, I'm a very optimistic person, and I think there's always a way that you can connect with people, and there may be funding we can apply for. And having a good website is so important, isn't it? It's the first experience you get when you land on a website. Are you going to support them or not, kind of thing. And if you don't like the website, you probably turn off. So I think that, yeah, it's not going to be a quick thing, but definitely our website will be something we look at. And actually the user journey, so we have a registration page on the website where families register the ducks that they get for the children. So it's a teddy duck. So if that user experience, which I already know isn't the best, but I guess as Kelly said, there's still a lot that Leeds Building Society could do for user experience. They're not great for the web, there's still a lot to learn. So I think that it will be, we will be looking at that and hopefully applying that.
Thanks for listening to the Understanding Users podcast, and many thanks to all the attendees who agreed to share their thoughts for this episode. And thanks once again to Millie Martin and Whitney Cherry from Lion+Mason for doing the recordings for me. If you enjoyed what you heard, do please like or comment wherever you're listening, and feel free to share this episode more widely. And feel free, of course, to drop me a line with any feedback via LinkedIn or my website, researchable.uk. This is the second of a 3-part mini-series of episodes about the recent Lion+Mason event at the Leeds Digital Festival. Coming soon is the third and final part of the series, where I'll be talking with some of the Lion+Mason team about their plans for future events and next year's Digital Festival in 2023. In the meantime, stay safe and stay user-centered.